Hello, this is the Furry Cartooning for Amateurs Summer 2026 Session 6 recap video. Tonight we are going to go over one-page comics. We're going to do two different ways of starting a one-page comic, and then we're going to go over the format for a one-page comic so that it fits into, see example here, the class zine. Yes, this is the class zine from this past winter. Ooh, and we want to make sure that our one-page and two-page comics, the two-page comic being the final project for this class, can fit very nicely into this digest size zine. Ooh. Okay, but first we'll start with an attendance card. Go ahead, get your 4" by 6" note card. You're going to draw a frame, and then you're going to put your class name at the top left, and you're going to put the date at the top right, and then you're going to draw yourself, draw your persona, being carried by an alien. This is a prompt from, I think, both Syllabus and Making Comics. And this is my 1-minute version. For 3 minutes, right? But this is my 1-minute version because my camera wasn't working super well tonight at first, but I got it working. Yeah. So this is me being carried by an alien. Okay. Next, we reviewed the homework and what our experience is with the homework. The homework was primarily going to a cafe and like Outside Wolves does, and draw yourself, or not draw yourself, draw kind of like a niche hobby or something, and maybe make it absurd. And then the other optional homework was to do the Quick Six by Lynda Barry, which is a format of comic where you set a timer for 20 minutes and you try to draw 6 panels, 6 even panels. And a 6-panel comic is almost as fast as you can, maybe pondering a subject, possibly nonfiction, in your composition notebook. And the class really went off with that one. So at least from the ones that were chosen to be shared in the Discord, that was pretty great. I didn't do that last time, so I was very excited to see any results and hear about people's experiences with it. I made some that I did not share with the class because they were too personal. Okay, so next I explain the zine. Let me zoom out a little bit and show the zine. And I'm going to be very particular with what pieces I show because I know this is going on YouTube and I don't want to have to edit it too much. So here's the zine. Here's the first ever printing. This is the test print. And so yeah, this is a digest size zine. It's 8.5. This is like if you printed on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and you cut it in half. You see this is 8.5 by 5.5. Yeah. And so so what is our class zine going to be this year? And how are the rules going to work? Well, it's totally optional to participate, and I will be the editor. I will be compiling your contributions. You will have up to you can submit up to 12 pages. It's digest size, like I just showed, and it's going to be in full color. You can submit black and white pages too if you want to, and you can submit anything you've made with the materials, the class materials. Some digital editing is allowed, but no digital coloring or inking of like anything. So that's like, oh, I misspelled something. Can I move the word around? You can also do like one color backgrounds. I'll let you do that. I'll explain that more next week. It's highly recommended that you submit your 2-page final comics for the zine. And it's a print-on-demand zine by Lulu, and so we're selling it at cost. So it's going to end up being about $30 with shipping. And yeah, so it's expensive to print because it prints on demand instead of a bunch all at once. And so I will not be profiting off of this, and neither will any of the students. The profit will just be made by Lulu. So there's that. We don't have to worry about money in that way. I'm not profiting off of my students' work. And there are aspects of the guidelines that I want us to deliberate on and vote on next week. I'll be running basically like a version of Robert's Rules where we're just doing our best, but we try to do everything to make democratic decisions and amend one thing at a time, make sure everyone has a chance to speak. And there will be certain sections of the zine submission format that I will let you vote on, and there are other sections that I will be a dictator and say this is how it's going to be. For example, I'm the editor. I'm not going to let you change that. I'm also not going to let you change the size. Oops. So yeah, I open it up for questions, but feel free to ask some questions in the Discord. Eventually there will be a zine help channel, but not yet. So that's the zine. And I'm going to show you a few examples from the zine. Here we go. So this is free online. You can get this at itch.io. If you search for cartooning for amateurs, I think it's under my page, Gabumat. So I'll show you a couple one-page comics, and the comic that you'll finish by the end of the week is going to be a comic that fits this format. So let's see. Let's look at Remy's, classmate Remy's from last time. So it should be able to fit like this, and if it doesn't fit perfectly, we can do something like this. So if you totally mess up the format, that is okay. But yeah, it's gonna look like this. There's gonna be 3 rows, and I want a title with a little drawing maybe, with your class name. Yeah, and let's look at another one. I actually never finished mine. One pager as I was editing. So, because I was teaching. So this one's Esper's. So this one's a nonfiction one. What was Remy's was also nonfiction, and but here are 2 fiction ones by Classmate Souvenir and Classmate Spaghetti. Okay, cool. So yeah, you're gonna need your what I'm calling little guys, but your little creatures, or a stack of cards, and you're gonna need basically 10 is a good amount. So for example, and another thing is I'm not gonna include the looking at furry art section here because I saw a furry whose channel got taken down recently, and it was very upsetting to me. And so I'm like, I got cold feet. I'm gonna play it safe because of the drawings that we're sharing, and but I can tell you the names. So we did this drawing that was kind of titled "Hop on Me" by Spettroo, Spettroo. That was from 2026. Animals and Wind Turbines in Rural North Texas by Swish Chi, 2026. Gender 98's drawing from 2026. One from the rest of these are actually 2026. So Blood Pastries, Nayland Blake, Dean Oyebo, Betta Polker, and Rusty Coyote / Alberto. So we did drawings of those people, and we looked at them for a minute each without talking, without passing any judgments, just to experience the images. So get out your little creatures and line them up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use a random number generator. You can use a die. I use this website called random.org. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's do this little turtle. Okay. You line them up, and then I generated 3 random numbers. Let's look at this. So here's random.org. So I just click this. 9. Okay, I skipped that. 9. What are the chances? 9, 8, and 2. Okay, so I got 9, 8, and 2. And so I would choose 9, 8, and 2, and then while I'm here, I'm going to show you this. Then we're going to get 3 random words from this website here. Wordfinder.yourdictionary.com/random word generator. Yeah, this is my pull. I got a legendary pull, right? Feedstuff, gastrocolic, and weight. Heck yeah. I'm going to share this comic at the Fat Fur Roundup. Alright, so let's do this. Click it again. Oh, goodbye. Okay. Kitchenette, collodion, allograft. So that's going to be the fiction one. Oh, I just realized I jumped right into the fiction one, but we actually did the non-fiction one first. So this is how we're going to set up the fiction one. But with these 3 words, you can, if you like are just like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do, you can just hit it again. And oh yeah, this one I understand these words a little bit better. So those will be your 3 words to generate. So let's go back to the nonfiction one. Set this all aside. First, we did a nonfiction comic. And so we started with a review frame going over one choice of image. And so I have these four recommendations of what you could do. I did this comic about my persona called Who is Gabumat? And it was a two-page comic, and I did it last fall to kind of practice this format before I taught my first class. And it looked like this. And it was about my persona and like how I came up with him. Um, my main persona, Gabumat. Here's what it looks like. Here's the original. And I think that's a good topic, nonfiction. Just like, hey, this is about me. You could also do your first encounter with furry as like as the furry genre, I'll call it, or the furry fandom. That's inspired by the I Love Furry prompt from Tommy Bruce's I Love Furry show recently this past year. You could also do your first furry convention or your first furry meetup if you've been to either of those things as well. I just thought those would be fun nonfiction things, but you can choose any nonfiction thing that you want. I just think those would be really strong images that you can work with. There's the full comic if you want to read it. Actually, this one's 2 page. Here, just for completion's sake. Okay. So those are some potential nonfiction things. We're not making we're not you're not committing to making a comic on this. We're just going to start with a nonfiction idea, really develop it, really get into the image, and then we're going to switch to fiction, and then after that, we're going to choose one of them to make a comic. So here's the review frame. Here's a review. I chose Anthrocon 2026. Recent Anthrocon. And what you're going to do is you're going to go into your comic book, you're going to ink this format, then write did, seen, heard, question, spend 3 minutes doing did, spend 3 minutes doing seen, spend 1 minute doing things you heard, 1 minute for a question. And then, once you're done with that, you're going to have, that should take about 10 minutes. You're going to have 5 minutes to write. 5 minutes of just writing the image. You can start with, I am, walking the hallway. That's a really good start. So I said, we are taking photos, me and Kevin. And I went through that way. Just write and get into the image. If you feel like you don't know what to write tick, tick, tick to keep your pen moving. That's a Lynda Barry trick. And then, once that's done, that's her 5 minutes, then you're going to spend 10 minutes doing a sketch page of that experience, those images. So this, I just started right away, and I drew a big drawing. I did 10 minutes of this, and I'm only drawing 3 things, and then I skipped to the next thing. So I'm drawing these. So, yeah, wonderful. Okay, so then we took a break, because that's a lot. So go ahead and take a break. And then we're going to do our, this exercise that I call characters plus constraints plus chaos equals comics. It's kind of a mashup of a bunch of different things from Lynda Barry's activities. Put my own spin on it, especially the little guy spin. I think these are really fun. Oh, I remember something that I didn't say during the activity, which was when you have your little guys picked or whatever. Say what did I have? Like 9, 6, 7, right? I don't know. So if I had 9, 6, and 7, so that would be 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, right. So those would be my 3 characters. And then I got my 3 words, right? And then this is when you can, before we do a review frame with these characters, kind of coming up with an idea of how they're interacting and why, what was the words wilt, adamantine, and polarity. So you can use one or all 3 of these words like as ideas. So maybe wilting and polarity, maybe there's a fight over the garden. Oh, community garden. And so this is where, as one student last winter said, time to lock the fuck in and play toys. Because I said, I want you to play toys with these. I didn't say this in class tonight, but because I had an image right away, but I should have said, I want you to kind of play toys with your head a little bit and have them interact. So, for example, oh, this is my section. Your ground cover is going into my section. Oh no, this I didn't even plant this. This is That was the tortoises. That's just how it works, man. I don't know what to tell you. The ground cover goes where it needs to go. I hate you. Oh. There you go. So you can play toys in your head, turn off your microphone, play toys. But then we're gonna do a review frame, and maybe the first scenario like that, I don't really want to write about that, or maybe it won't go exactly that way. But I'm gonna do another review frame. Um, so lock the fuck in and play toys. Oh shoot! Oh, am I allowed to say that word on YouTube? Oh, I'm gonna get a strike. Um, I can't make my half a cent on this video. So the you just do it again. Write the names of the creatures or whatever, and then write the words. And then you can jump around, but 3 minutes happen, 3 minutes scene, 1 minute heard, 1 minute question about maybe one of the characters are having a question in their experience. So, like for example, I wrote Gabumon is at checkout and has to ask for IDs because they got wine. That never made it into the story, but just things that maybe parallel timelines are happening here. But try to get into the image. Okay, you got it though. So we do that, and then we're gonna draw. No, we're gonna write dialogue. This time, we're gonna write dialogue between characters for 5 minutes. And you can draw little faces next to them if you want. I said don't do that. Actually, just write dialogue for 5 minutes and then draw for 5 minutes. And if your characters don't talk, if it's mostly action, then just start drawing and do that for 10 minutes. So we're just getting into another image, right? And I added this pencil later, but then now you have a choice. So start to think about, do I want to make a one-page comic out of what happened here or something related to, or do I want to make a one-page comic about the nonfiction stuff that I got into? And then we're going to set up a page to be perfectly scalable to fit down into a digest size zine. So here's like a one pager, right? And before I start, classmate Teef made a diagram after I explained it a few times from my directions, and so I'm going to show it right here. 3, 2, 1. Thank you, Teef. Everybody say thank you, Teef. So this is how we're going to pencil the comic. We want these. These are the margins. We want them to be 1/2 of an inch, and we want our gutters here between the panels to be 1/4 of an inch. And then we also want to draw a line I'm calling the cut line. We're not actually cutting down here, but we're going to pretend everything past this line over here, right here, that I drew, that we're going to draw, just is off the page, right? That's what can really mess us up, because we're drawing this extra line. Because our paper is, how big? Our paper is 10 inches tall total and 7 inches wide total. Okay, so here we go. Let's look at my drawing, and I'm not gonna redo it. Actually, you know, I will redo it for y'all who missed. So here's my start. Okay, here it is. I'm just gonna keep that image up there. Actually, I can make it real small. This. It's so nice. I should have done this at a time like that. Okay, let's bump that contrast up. So you see how I ended up with, this is what's gonna look like after you penciled it all and you started penciling. I call this the cut line, and then we basically make a big box first, and then we make these two gutters here, and then erase some things, and then we thumbnail, and then we come back to this and say, oh yeah, okay, so this is where I want my vertical gutters to go. So let's make this page together here, and you can even speed it up real fast and rewind it and such. Okay, so first thing you're gonna do, and there's a step-by-step thing that I'm using that I put in the chat of the meeting, so you can look at that. 6 if you're in the class right now. So the first thing I want to do, I want to mark 6.5 inches in from the edge. That's here. And I want to make my cut line. Boom. I can actually make that really dark because it's a cut line. Boom. I'm going to label it cut line. And just big ol' X's. This is not going to be used at all. Imagine if we actually cut right there. Then the page would be the perfect size. Yay. Now we're going to create the margins. I'm going to measure 1/2 inch in from every side. Here's a 1/2 inch. Kind of anywhere. Here's a 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch from where? Not the edge of the page, but from the cut line. 1/2 inch. Off the page. So it's 1/2 inch from this side too. I'm going to draw lines where all those dots were. That's going to mark the boundaries of the page. Or sorry, going to mark the margins. Looks done, right? Nope. Still need to draw this one. Boom. Okay. So now we have this box. Let's check to make sure this box is the right size. The height of the box, I have to turn my page sideways. This is 0. I'm measuring from this line to this line. See, this line to this line. That should be 9 inches. Oh, can't see it. 9 inches. And then the width of this big old rectangle should be 5.5 inches. Oh, it's a little bit wide. That's, actually, I'm going to fix that because the width is actually the most sensitive part because of the way our binding is. This really is ideal for, oh, interesting. This is ideal for saddle stitch zines, which is when there's a staple. I really should make this a little bit thinner, but it ended up working out with our like roughly 200-page zine. So I'm just gonna keep it the way it is. If you want to make it a little bit thinner, that's okay. So anyways, okay, so but that wasn't really this. That was literally just too big. Okay, 5.5 inches wide. Okay, boom. Now we're gonna add the gutters. The gutters. Okay. So I want basically almost perfectly measured out 3 rows. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to mark at 3 and 6. Okay, oh, so you see, let's do this. Oh yeah, I can just angle like that. Oh yeah. Okay, so I'm measuring from this line. And I'm going to make a mark at 3. I'm going to go further down. I'm going to make a mark at 6. And then I want my gutter to be 1/4 inch. So I'm going to measure 1/8 inch either way. I'm keeping it right here. That's 1/8 inch. See how that's 1/4? So that's 1/8 and that's 1/8. And that makes this 1/4 inch. What should we call it? Gutter. Do the same here. And then Then oh, can you still hear me? My headphones just died. Okay. Then you're gonna measure. Or so you're gonna draw a line on the two outer lines. The two outer markings. Sorry. Two outer markings. This t-square really helps me with perpendicular lines, but you're just gonna have to go slower if you don't have the t-square. And I didn't recommend t-square. Oops, sorry. It really does help to go faster, but sometimes I don't even know where. I probably got this at a crafting store or something. Okay, all right, and now we're gonna stop because we don't know how we want to split our vertical gutters up. Maybe we want one here. Maybe we want one here. Maybe we want one right here. How are we gonna decide? Well, we're gonna thumbnail. We're gonna thumbnail. Here's my thumbnail. This is a way to lay out your page. A little thumbnail. And it can be the size of a thumbnail, but it probably should be bigger, a little bit bigger. And actually, this was a frustrating size. I told people if it's the size of a credit card, it's too big. I've started to change my mind on that, especially if you have a lot of text. Let's do a thumbnail this size. Oh, and okay, it's probably gonna be like that size. Okay, cat wants out. Here we go. So you're gonna let's do those 3 rows roughly. Comp book is a great place to do this. And I know I want my title to be small. And so what I did here, I was doing a lot of erasing. I was like, wait, no, this text and this text have to fit up here, and then this text has to fit over here. But what I really want you to do is I want you to not do like a 6-panel even comic like this, because I want you to try something different. Let's show an example again. And you can really split it up if you want to. Like for example, S-furs again. They're kind of staggered, right? Makes the page, or I'm going to say quality word, more interesting. And also, you can split panels up like that if you want. So, with, I'll say, the Anglosphere comics, we read from left to right, top to down. So how would we read these? We go left to right, top to down. And so, for example, if you were to split it up angled like this, if you could do either angle and it wouldn't be too confusing. Yeah, actually I was going to say the opposite, but no. Yeah, you could do either one. So, let's thumbnail. I want to fit all my text in. That's the biggest thing I'm worried about. So what I did was I started labeling each line A, B, C, D, E. I might have fit these together as A. Oh, yes. And I think I got rid of can you reach. I was kind of confused by that. Okay, so I'm splitting it up and then I'm putting it into this thumbnail. It's where it fits best. So let's redo it here. So title, class name. Okay, and then I realize A should go here, and there's Weasel, there's Chameleon, there's the cart, and then how many? And I want Chameleon to be like motioning, and Weasel to be like, oh, I don't know. And then I have a bunch of other things happening here. Basically, what I decided was, oh, it's almost difficult to follow my own work. It's weird because I'm kind of going backwards now. I know what I ended up deciding. I knew that I wanted just like a very, a punchline. He feeds me right here as the only thing that's said in the last panel. So I work backwards. So that is I, and there is Charmeleon. So then I want to go backwards. So that was I. And then H is, okay, I have to ask you, you being water type, you being fire type. That's a lot of words. Okay, so H is up here, and it's really big. And I think I'm just going to show Gabumon on this little stool. And then, oh, but I got to fit Charmeleon, Weasel. Okay, so it's going to be kind of like that. And I'm not really dead set on this. Maybe once I start writing, I want to change my mind. And honestly, changing your mind makes it more fun. Once where you're writing and thumbnailing, sometimes I get kind of sad after the thumbnailing part because I'm like, well, that was the fun part, making the comic. Now I have to just render for 3 hours, right? Oh, I saw my volume max out there. So yeah, but feel free to change your mind as much as you want. If you want to go right in with ink, you can. You can certainly submit anything that you go right in with ink with. That could be more fun. Maybe you draw this comic in ink like 3 times and you just choose one. There's lots of different ways of doing it. This is just one way. So we're gonna do pencils. And so, and you know what? I didn't say this in class. One thing that Lynda Barry does with her 4-panel comics that she used to submit to alternative newspapers is she would have multiple going at a time, and if she couldn't think of what to say in like panel 3 of like comic 1 that she was working on, she'd move over to the next comic and work on panel 1 of that one or panel 4 of that one. Like she was so momentum based that and because it was somewhat asequential, she could just do a bunch of different comics and keep her hand moving. And when I found that out, I was like amazed. Also, she only ended up publishing like 1 out of like 10, maybe not 10, maybe like 1 out of 5 comics that she actually drew and finished. Like she only sent in 1 out of like, so she was going, I think she was going right in with ink too. So just keep that in mind as we go through this penciling process. This is just one way to make a comic. Okay. So I did my thumbnail. Oh, the schematic is still going. I did my thumbnail, and now I'm gonna draw these lines here. And so I measure out the 1/4 inch where I want it, and I draw it. And this was an example. Sometimes I don't even measure it out. I just kind of draw without even using a ruler. It's kind of bright. And because I know it might move, especially once I start writing the text. But anyways, I make all these panel borders, keep them in pencil. I don't ink them yet. And then I put the text in and draw at the same time. Put the text in, draw, put the text in, draw. So here's where I ended at 9:30 p.m. And so you're going to pencil it all, and then you're going to ink the borders. Make sure to erase in between just so you don't accidentally ink. It's fine if you do. And then I recommend doing the text first per panel, and then the characters, and then the speech bubbles. If you have text and characters and speech bubbles, well, you'll definitely have characters. And so I chose my nonfiction one, right? Yeah. Is there anything else I want to add for advice? Oh, and then, choose a pen that you want to use that would work with the colors that you use. So, like, people say that Tombow Furunosuke is waterproof, and I still am scared, but I should test it out again. Papermate, sorry, no. Vision fine liner if you're Uniball Vision, if you're using watercolors. And you don't have to do like 5 different colors. You could do like 2 colors and like keep it kind of monochrome or whatever. It's fine. So don't go crazy with the colors. You can even submit it if it's black and white. But the homework is to finish the 1-page comic. And then also have an idea of what you want the 2-page comic, your 2-page comic to be. Okay? Because we're going to use even more thorough method next week to start the 2-page comic after we do our Robert's Rules discussion, amending, and voting on certain aspects of the class zine format. So come prepared for that and bring your, where did I list it? Bring note cards, pencils, pens, comp book, mixed media paper, coloring supplies. And yeah, you'll need 2 pages of your mixed media paper. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for coming or watching, and see you next time. Oh, wait. Oh, there was one more thing that we went over after well, most people had left, but someone had a question about perspective, and so I did a little perspective example. Because I've been meaning to do a tech tip about perspective, and I said that, and they're like, "Well, I have questions right now. Can I ask them?" And I'm like, "Okay, yeah." So here's like my quick perspective tip, and the big tip is the horizon line is where the camera is. If you think about it that way. So I'm always curious about when I'm drawing, for example, let's do another example of maybe really high up. Maybe I want to show my Charmeleon and bootleg Charmeleon and bootleg Weasel going down, and I'm going to pretend Charmeleon's way taller than Weasel, going down the aisles, but I want to do it from straight up. The horizon line is where the camera's at. So, for example, if I'm really high up, here's the horizon line, and then I want to do 1 point perspective again. I'm going to draw my 1 point perspective. And I just know that I kind of want my characters here and here, and I want to see an aisle going this way. All of the horizontal lines, or sorry, parallel lines, oh my gosh, my cat really wants to. All the parallel lines are going to go into the vanishing point. So one way I can set up is just draw a bunch of really light vanishing point lines, and I know if they were taller than like this high up space, like say there was like a giant, I don't know, what's this, Kabuterimon? If he was standing in this aisle over here and he was taller than where the camera was, higher up, his head would be above the camera. So let's do that. He's like reaching down. Maybe he's a very skilled worker here because he's so tall he can stock every shelf really fast, although he'd probably break a lot of things. Every worker is skilled. I don't know why I said that. Okay, so then here is little Weasel way lower than this line, this where the camera's at. And here's a little bit taller. And then these parallel lines, I'm going to say this is an aisle. These are called orthogonal lines because Jumbo shared one of their slides from class. Okay. So everything that is parallel with these lines go into this horizon point. Okay, actually, I don't want the aisles to be that big. So yeah, that's my quick perspective tip. And then let's say the edge of the store is like, the ceiling is higher than me. The ceiling is higher than my camera. So it's above the horizon line here. Yeah. And then, okay, this is actually, the ceiling is, this edge of the ceiling, right, is going to be parallel to all these lines. So it goes into the horizon, 1 point perspective horizon point again. So I'm going to draw a line out that way. Oh, so this is actually where the ceiling should be. And then this line could go down here. And then now we're below the horizon line. I don't even have to think about that. All I have to do is draw another line out from the point to where this point of the store is. Okay, so that's the edge of the store. Boom. Let's draw some windows. Boom, 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 boom. The little checkout area. So now I kind of feel where these little things have to go. Thanks, Kabuterimon. Okay. So that's a quick thing on perspective. Okay, now I really think I'm done. All right, good night, furries on the internet.